200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Bills to 200 200. This is the Ross Kaminsky Show. Now, Ross Kaminsky on Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Election Day. It is finally here. Can you believe it, Shannon? Can you believe it, listeners? I remember at least 6 months ago, we were already talking about this election, maybe the beginning of the year even, but a long time. And when's it going to be here? When's it going to be? It's here today. It's here today. As of yesterday, we had more than 1.5 million ballots cast in Colorado already, and we're going to get a lot more today. A lot of folks who listen to this show got in touch with me to say that you were intentionally waiting to the last day for a variety of reasons to turn in your ballots. And in the next segment of the show, about 25, 30 minutes from now, somewhere in there, we're going to talk with David Flaherty from Magellan Strategies about what he thinks he can glean from the information about the returns so far. Frankly, I am not exceptionally optimistic for Colorado, but we'll talk about that more. I'm way more optimistic for the rest of the country than I am for Colorado, which isn't really that surprising when you consider that Colorado is a place that we've thought of for at least some years as a purple state. It used to be red before that, but for some years as a purple state. And yet in 2016, when President Trump was surprising people by winning some states that people didn't think he would win, Florida, North Carolina, and then, of course, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and the Rust Belt stuff, he didn't win Colorado. So Colorado is probably bluer than people give it credit for. Also, a lot of younger voters here who I think are not going to treat Republicans kindly. We'll talk about that more in a bit. But first, I want to make sure that you know I'm going to do something today, and I have no idea whether this is going to be a surprise success like Donald Trump winning the presidency in 2016, or a failure like, I don't know, a Democrat running for governor in South Carolina. We'll see. Here's what we're going to do. As a reward for your voting, and I'm just going to assume that people who listen to this show either have voted or will be voting today, at the top of each hour, or more precisely, from about 57 after 6:57 to 7:02, and then each hour after 7:57 to 8:02, 8:57 to 9:02, and 9:57 to 10:02, I am going to go stand out in front of the iHeartRadio building with a bag of these bite-sized Chick-O-Stick candies that were given to me by 2 listeners who heard us talking about this on the show. And I've got way, way more than I can or want to eat or to share with my kids because their dentist bills are high enough. And so I'm going to share them with you. So, yeah, it's true. After 10, I could stand out there for a little bit longer if people want to say hi. But so here's the deal. Okay, the radio station address is 4695 South Monaco. Okay, 4695 South Monaco Street in Denver. It's just off of I-25 at Bellevue, a couple of blocks, basically, northwest of that. So when you get off at Bellevue, go west to Monaco, go north to Union, and then turn left, and it's the first building on the right, and it's got a circular driveway, and I am going to stand there wearing a bright orange John Elway Chevy hat and hand out Chick-O-Sticks until I run out of them, assuming you guys show up, okay? So we'll do it first at 6:57 for 5 minutes, then 7:57 for 5 minutes, then 8:57 for 5 minutes, 9:57, maybe I'll stick around for a little more than 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to do that today. Drive by the station, 4695 South Monaco. If you forget the address, you can text me, and I'll text it back to you. How's that? Or you can email me, and I'll email it back to you. Now, I've had this on my mind. This is a tiny, ridiculous thing that I've had on my mind for a few days, but I got to ask you because I need to know if I was imagining this. You may recall, and this is, as my grandmother would have said, apropos of nothing. That's something my dad's mom would definitely have said. Apropos of nothing. I have noticed, and I have checked this one over and over. So this is just an example. I've checked this one over and over. That when you are going south, or I guess they call it east, on C470, coming down from, Golden and coming down towards Ken Carroll, just before, somewhere before the Quincy exit around Morrison, there's a sign that says Bowles Avenue, 2 3/4 miles on that, the big highway signs that show the miles. And then you go about, I want to say it's another mile, maybe 1.25 miles, but around another mile. And then the next sign says Bowles Avenue, 2 3/4 miles. So there's two signs that are about 1 mile or 1.25 miles apart that both show the same distance on them to the Bowles Avenue exit. Crazy, huh? Now here's something that I noticed, and if you drive 470 and you never noticed that before, first of all, start paying attention to the world around you, and second of all, check it out today, and I bet every day from now on that you drive by, you will check to see whether they fixed the sign. I told CDOT about this probably 9 months ago, and I guess they've decided it wasn't important. Now, this is what I want your help on. And I want you to actually just text me when you've got a response to this. My text number is 57739, okay? You text me, and you should have it programmed in your phone by now. 57739 must include the word Ross in your text messages, or it won't pop up on my screen. And don't forget, your own message and data rates do apply. I've gotten 2 texts already this morning. Ross just dropped off my ballot. Ross, I waited till today to vote just to mess with the blue wave. I think a lot of my listeners are doing that. Anyway, check this out. So, like that Bowles thing. Shannon, have you ever noticed this? I think, because I've only looked at it once, so I could have seen it wrong, that when you are coming north on I-25 from, let's say, Arapahoe kind of area, just a little south of the tech center, you're coming north on I-25 before Bellevue, I believe there is a sign that shows the distance to Bellevue and then the distance to Hamden, which is the next exit going north on 25 after Bellevue. And I think that it says the distance to Hamden is 3/4 mile, and then you go past Bellevue, and the next sign that shows the distance to Hamden also says 3/4 mile. So I want people to check that for me. Are there 2 signs in a row that are, again, maybe 1 mile apart or something like that, or maybe 3/4 mile apart, going north on I-25 that both say Hamden 3/4 mile? And I want you to text me and let me know if you see that. Okay? Please do that for me, because I want to know if I'm going crazy. Isn't that weird? You would think on major highways in a major city that they'd have, not only would they have it right, but that other people would have told CDOT. Maybe it's just the kind of thing that I'm the only one nerdy enough either to notice or to care enough to tell CDOT, and maybe I'm just wasting my time. But still, if you find the same thing, 2 signs in a row going north on I-25 that say Hamden is the same distance even though the signs are 3/4 mile apart or something like that, text me and let me know. All right, let's move on to politics, because it is, after all, Election Day. First, let's talk about betting odds for a second, because this is always fun. Let's start with the Senate side. The betting odds for Republicans to lose the Senate, to lose the Senate entirely, meaning have 49 seats or fewer, is 12%. 12%. The betting odds of losing Republicans on net now, right? So you add up all the seats they win and subtract all the seats they lose. Losing 1 seat and having 50 seats in the Senate, which, by the way, would still mean Republicans would have control because Mike Pence would be the tie-breaking vote and give GOP control and chairmanships of all the committees, is 14%. So basically, the combined odds of Republicans losing any seats, one or more, combined right around 25% in the betting odds. I think that's about fair, maybe a little high. I think the odds of Republicans losing seats actually is lower than 25% in the Senate. But you never know. This day could be insane. You could see some things happen that the polls say just shouldn't be happening, right? I mean, for example, it would be very surprising for Ted Cruz to lose in Texas, but it's not impossible. It would be surprising at this point for Marsha Blackburn to lose in Tennessee, but it's not impossible. And then there are things the other way, right? It would be a little bit surprising for the Republican to win in both Arizona and Nevada, to win both, but could happen. Could definitely happen, especially Arizona, where that Democratic candidate is such a nightmare. Okay, so now we're looking at about 16 or 17% chance of Republicans keeping the same number of seats in the Senate. And then when you start going up from there, so 52 seats, that's gaining 1, is trading 16%. 53 seats, which is gaining 2, is also trading 16%. 54 seats, which is gaining 3, is trading 13%. 55 seats, which is gaining 4, is trading 10%. And this is kind of insane. Here's the deal. This is ridiculous. 60 or more Republican Senate seats is trading 9%. That, my friends, is, I think, free money. Man, I'm not going to take my time to go open an account and sell this, but I would sell 60 or more Republican Senate seats. As we used to say on the trading floor, I'd sell it with both hands. I'd sell it with both hands. Oh, can I tell you where that comes from? In fact, many of you probably haven't even heard that expression because you haven't been on a trading floor. But anyway, so on the commodity exchange across the street from where I traded, the Chicago Board of Trade, and I actually did trade soybeans and soybean options on the Chicago Board of Trade for a little while, but it is such a different game from stocks that I wasn't very good at it. I traded for a few weeks. I got a little lucky. I made about $30,000. I bought myself a nice, inexpensive car, and I quit trading that stuff because I knew I had just gotten lucky. Basically, I bought some soybeans, and the drought continued, and soybeans went up, and I just sort of happened to make money. It wasn't skill. $30,000 is a lot of money to make in a few weeks. It's not my normal rate of profit, but it was. And I just like, you know what, better lucky than good. I'm going to take the money and run. Anyway, so here's the deal. When you're standing on the trading floor in the Board of Trade and you're signaling whether you want to buy or sell, and then you actually signal with your hands, because some of these pits, the futures pits, are big. Now, I don't know if there's actually any people in any of those pits anymore. I haven't looked at the Board of Trade in a while. It might be all on a screen. I'm not sure. But anyway, the soybean futures pit is pretty big, and it can be pretty loud. So it's unlikely that the person all the way on the other side of the pit will be able to hear you if you're trying to trade with him. Although that pit was divided up a little bit into months, so normally you're going to trade the front month, you're standing in one part of the pit. You're going to trade the back month, you're in another part. So it's not all the time you'd trade with someone on the far side of the pit. Anyway, you basically trade with your hands. Now, if you want to buy them, you're holding up a hand with the price that you're willing to pay represented by the number of fingers that you're showing. And if you are a buyer, your palm is facing toward you if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, your palm is out facing away from you. And let's say you want to sell them at a quarter, I don't even remember, it's been so long, but to whatever, and you want to sell them, you would hold up a hand with two fingers away from you. And if you want to buy them at that price, or let's say you want to pay 1 and they want to sell them at 2, you'd see a bunch of people standing around with palms toward them holding up 1 finger and palms away from them, other people holding up 2 fingers. People are rarely buyers and sellers at the same time. It's very different, actually, than in, let's say, stock options or even commodity options, where I would always be willing to buy or sell an option at a given time as long as you traded, as long as you sold them to me at the price I wanted to buy them at and bought them from me at the price I wanted to sell them at. Okay, so here's the deal, though. In these commodity pits, then you signified, once someone agreed to you on a price, you signified quantity. And if you're holding up one hand, you were implicitly only willing to trade as many contracts as you could demonstrate, at the most, as you could show on one hand. That'd be 5 contracts. Soybeans trade 5,000 bushels a contract, so if you did 5 futures, they'd call it 25, actually, because it's 5,000 bushel futures. That'd be 25,000 bushels of soybeans. So if you were buying 1 contract, you'd actually say bought 5. But anyway, so let's say you're holding up 2 fingers out, palms away, and someone says, I'll buy them. And actually, in the commodities pits, they say sold. It's in the stock and stock option side that they would say buy them. In the grain pits, they say sold, whether you are buying or selling, which I found very confusing. If you were holding up 2 hands to show your price, like imagine Richard Nixon holding up the V with 2 hands pointing away from him. V for victory, right? With 2 hands pointing away from him. That would be someone who wants to sell these things at whatever price is represented by 2. But if you were holding up 2 hands, they could hold you to at least 6 contracts, because by holding up 2 hands, you were showing that you had as many to sell as it took 2 hands to show that quantity. And they would hold you to it. If you were holding up 2 hands and then the other guy said sold, and he said, I'll take 40, and you said, no, I only want to sell 2 contracts. No, sorry, you were holding up 2 hands. You got to sell them. I don't know why I gave you that tangent, but I hope you thought it was fun. I sure did. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by Zero, beautiful accounting software that's powered by people.
Tuesday morning, election day, and heavier highways for the drive. Nissan Intelligent Mobility is the technology that moves people. That stretch of 6th Avenue, Lakewood Drive, looking a lot better. Had a crash near Sheridan, quickly cleared off the highway. No other big problems right now. Up north, south on I-25 heavier, traveling out of North Glen. Getting busier downtown. Still looking good in and out of the tech center. Commerce City Drive starting to heavy up as well. In the high country, snow and slick conditions. Westbound 70 at Downeyville. There's been a bunch of accidents. Lane restrictions there. Exit 234. Denver's forecast, sunny skies, breezy today, high near 51. Tonight, partly cloudy, low at 27. Mid-40s tomorrow. Right now, it's 35. With the traffic and weather, I'm Susan Thielen, 630 KHOW.
With Zero, small businesses and accountants can work together at any time. With real-time financials, bank connections, unlimited users, and online invoicing, it's beautiful accounting software that's powered by people. Visit xero.com/join today.
When you talk with the salary-based mortgage consultant at American Financing, they're really going to take the time to get to know you, because the mortgage is about you just the same way that the house the mortgage is for is about you. It's not a generic home, just the same way you wouldn't go to a car dealership and say, just sell me a car, right? You wouldn't buy a house saying, just sell me a house. You care about what it is and maybe what color it is and how many bedrooms it has and all of these features of it, just the same way that there are features of a mortgage that American Financing will tailor to you once they understand your situation. Do you need a 30-year loan? Do you need a 20-year loan? Do you need a 7-year loan? Do you need a fixed rate? Do you need an adjustable rate? Do you need down payment assistance? Do you need mortgage insurance? They'll learn about you and get the right loan for you. 303-695-7000 or online at AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 182334, regulated by the Division of Real Estate.
Grainberry, Grainberry, healthy cereal for your family.
What kind of cereal